I'm believing that we're at our third session already. I don't know about you guys, I think this has been a lot of fun. So I was telling somebody recently that we had a really good time at the last session with our role playing. And I heard from several of you after the fact how valuable that was to do that. So I'm happy to share those scenarios that I've crafted. You can take those, you can modify them, and get with some board members, get with some of your team, invite some friends over. I don't know, just do some role playing. And I really think it takes practice to really do that well and to do it comfortably. So I'm glad that exercise was helpful, and I encourage you to continue to do that kind of work. So our last session tonight is on planned giving. Yay! Yay! I know. Okay, it's not as scary as it sounds, which is why we're doing this, right? So that we can sort of demystify this whole idea around planned giving, because it is an important component in everything that you do, right? Doesn't matter what the cause is, it's for your endowment, for a special project, for a building, right? We've talked about this whole idea of fundraising as being a pie, right? You need lots of different components to that, lots of pieces to the pie, and planned giving is an important one. So I brought in the experts, right? So this is Cindy Waters. This is Cindy Waters. There's our, who is our VP of Donor Services here at the Community Foundation. And I think many of you know Lori Balmer, who is our President and CEO. And I will let you guys just tell a little bit about yourselves. So it's all yours.
Thank you, Cindy.
Yeah.
Good afternoon, everybody. So Cindy Waters, been doing fundraising for 15 years and been at the Community Foundation for a year. And love working with donors and talking to them.
Lori Balmer, and I have been in fundraising and nonprofit support, development, whatever, management, almost my entire career. So landed in it because I was laid off from the state of Michigan in press and public affairs, where I hated it. And said, I gotta do something with my time while I look for a new job, and I can't sit still. So I thought, okay, where would I like to volunteer? And there was a humane society around the corner, and I thought, I love puppies and kitties. So I reached out and I said, hey, I do like marketing and public relations, and I'm a writer, and I'd like to help. I got a call from the executive director at the time, and she said, I want to abuse you in any way possible. Yeah. So I started, just diving in like every day, like a paid volunteer, except there was no money, and learned how to fundraise, learned everything from the ground up. I knew nothing, was terrified, absolutely terrified. I think I was much more comfortable writing newsletters and taking puppies on TV. But anyway, so that's how it all began. I was there for 7 years and was recruited by Ellie's Place, and I was their president and CEO for 16 years. Replicated the organization 3 times and got tired and moved on. And had the best conversation with Dennis Lehman, my predecessor, who was also a friend, and he recruited me, and I'm so happy here. And we have the best team, the best board, and we don't do a lot of fundraising anymore. That's the funny thing. But I do for the riverfront, but not to keep the lights on like you all do. I did it for so long, so I know what you're up against. So welcome.
So we'd love you to go around and just provide what your name is, what organization you're from, and your role. Start with it.
I'm Abby Tekowski from Riverwalk Theater. I'm Business Operations Manager.
I'm Laura Young with the Davies Project. I'm the Director of Development.
I'm Michael Goodman. I am with the Lansing Symphony Orchestra, and I'm their Development Manager.
Hi, Robert Melsack from Forest Woods Adult Day Services, Community Engagement, Development, and Fundraising Director.
Katie Eaton with Crossover Kids. I'm the Outreach and Development Manager.
Emily Lynch is the Treasurer for the Capital City Festival.
And Miranda, I'm here representing United Against Poverty.
Hello, I'm Tina. I'm the Marketing and Membership Manager at Fenner Conservancy.
Erica Durant with Citizens Fundraising Reform, CEO.
Susan Shelton, Senior District Director for Junior Achievement of Mid-Michigan.
Leanne Zimney, I'm the Treasurer at Riverwalk Theater. right after class tonight, opening night of Little Women for the next 2 weekends.
I'm Megan Martin, I'm the Executive Director of the Arts Council of Greater Lansing.
I'm Kendra Jackson, the owner and the director of Kids Precious Care Learning Center.
I'm Quinn, I'm with Child and Family Charities and I'm Program Manager of Volunteers, In-Kind Donations and Donor Database.
Amanda Thompson, Director of Helping Hands Food Pantry.
Kaylee McCann, I'm the Manager of Development and Membership at Impression 5.
Christina Schmidtko, Executive Director of Lansing Area AIDS Network.
Well, great to meet all of you. So if you could just raise your hand when I ask you a couple questions. So how many of you have a planned gift to your organization that you know of? 3 or 4, okay. And how many of you have an endowment fund? Oh, yeah, like that. How many of those are with us?
Just trying to see who's in the room.
How many of you are comfortable asking for a planned gift? Oh, what? Okay. And how many of you have a legacy society? Okay, great. So this is going to be really informal, so please feel free to ask questions, interrupt us, whatever. We're fine. So overview of our session today is going to be talking about planned giving, why does it matter, how to start a program, and how to, for those of you who do not have an endowment, how to start an endowment. So what is planned giving? Planned giving is building a legacy and being very strategic and thoughtful. These donations will actually help your nonprofit shape your future more than you'll ever know. So our planned giving. Planned giving is not immediate. You don't see a planned gift right away. You're talking to someone, when you love going on a donor visit, you're able to sit there and get a pledge for $25,000, $50,000. Oh, that's great. You get to go back, give that check to your treasurer. But not for planned gifts. They're deferred into the future. So they're intentional and strategic. It's not spontaneous giving, but rather it's a gift that's structured and aligned with financial goals. And it leaves a legacy. These gifts can be arranged to take effect immediately or actually during while the donor is alive. Planned gifts often involve legal and financial instruments such as wills, trust, and beneficiary designations. Assets can be cash, stock, securities, real estate, retirement accounts, property, personal property, and then life insurance policy. My daughter's an insurance agent. She often has people who she needs to designate, use the designation for their will, for their insurance. And they'll often choose a nonprofit. And now that I'm a mom, I work here, I talk to her often about that. If you have anybody who doesn't know what to do, reach out to me and I'd be happy to help. So when I first started my fundraising career, I went to a planned giving seminar and I was blown away. Felt like my head was spinning. They were talking language that I was not understanding. It was very complex. So begin with bequest. It's the simplest. It doesn't require complicated paperwork, and which is why you want to start there. It's so easy. You don't want to be confused. Over 90% of your planned giving is going to be bequest. I wish I would have known that a long time ago. I would have started talking more about it. Encourage donors to name your nonprofit in their will. This is an easy way to make a lasting impact without affecting their current finances. Especially this day and age, it's hard asking for money with everything that's going on in the world. But a planned gift is not something that they have to provide up front. It's something that can provide for the future. So simple language that you can use. Have you ever considered including your nonprofit in your will or estate? So 2 simple takeaways from today, just talk about a bequest, and then secondly, at the bottom of your letterhead when you're sending out your acknowledgement letters, just add that to the bottom of it. You'd be surprised, you'll just put that in someone's mind, you're planting a seed. So, or someone will just put it away and in 20 years they're gonna grab it out and be like, okay, yeah, I wanna put this person in my estate. So focus on a magic age. All don't like talking about age, but here we do, a little bit. So normally donors are 55 and older. Donors that are in their 50s and 70s, they also are having conversations with their financial advisors. Most people in their 30s and 40s are focusing on their career and raising their family, which is why you want to try to target that area. And most importantly, when you want to avoid going silent on aging donors, they really love hearing from you. They love, a card, a phone call. Stay in touch with them. It's really, really important. And you want to make sure that your planned gift does come to your organization. You just get that planned gift, you get it documented, and they don't hear from you, they could easily take you out. So that's always important to do that. So who's your audience? Consistent donors, not always major donors. Again, 55 and older, not always, but that's usually the case. Children, no heirs, so that's usually a prime donor. And then a volunteer, a board member, a past board member. It's not always the case. I met with a donor at Sparrow who was a board member, actually served 9 years, got off for 2 years and did another 9 years. Major donor, gave gifts all the time. I thought, oh, she's gonna be perfect for planning it. Sat down, talked to her for a while. I said, would you consider us adding it to your, estate planning? And she said, no, but I don't know. And I'm like, good, let's take it back a little bit. But I said, okay, I understand. She said she wanted to do it all in her presence of her life. And then afterwards, she's leaving it to her kids. So making the ask is really important, just like in major gifts. So why it matters. Donor stories. We all know that in fundraising, telling your story is so important. At your seat, we have a piece of paper that was actually in the 517 magazine. And it talks about how we want to talk about stories and how someone's leaving their legacy. When I actually started at the Community Foundation, we had someone who, at a very small nonprofit, received an estate gift for $825,000. So they set up an endowment fund with us for $760,000, and then they named a fund in honor of this person for $15,000, because they wanted to have their name on there. And then they also put $50,000 into like an emergency fund that they could be used for whatever they needed. And with that one-time annual gift, they're going to be receiving a $32,000 distribution every year from the Community Foundation. So that's just one small example of how someone who leaves you in your estate, what a big difference it can make. So I love this article. I was reading it last night. I'm like, I gotta highlight this. I'm not sure who saw it, but the Talking Dog film, he is here for our nonprofits. He knows that our economy is tough. He knows that the budgets are tough. So his unique avenue is pay what you can model, which I love. So this is just for you to keep, and hopefully if you get a planned gift, you can share a story. And then now Lori is gonna come up and see a few things. Actually, one more. Does anyone have a story like I just talked about where they received a planned gift? Yeah. It's coming, I promise you.
Okay. Is it the clicker? I can do a lot of things, but not technology ever. Okay, so common excuses when we're not doing plan giving in our organization. It's not worth my time. I'm too busy raising cash to keep the lights on. I don't know rich people. It's too complicated. And you did a great job of covering that. It can be complicated, but it doesn't have to be if you focus on the bequests. I don't know how to talk about death. Okay, that was me. And I'm afraid to ask for more than just a cash gift. That might affect my bottom line. So it's not worth my time. Plan giving, as was stated, is really usually about deferred giving. It's not about the immediate dollars. It's more about long-term impact, and it's also about legacy for the donor. It can be, a bequest can be amazingly large. It can be, a gift of $20,000 left over in somebody's estate plan, or it can be $1 million. You will never know until that moment when they pass and you get that phone call. So don't discount the value, and sometimes you won't see it until you've moved on to another job, but it's still so important for your organization. And you never know when that person is in their estate planning process and healing over the next day. So then it is not too complicated. We talked about that. Don't know how to talk about that. This was a hard one for me in my fundraising because I didn't know how to talk to somebody about their passing. Particularly if they're older, they know they're getting close, and here I am young, wanting to talk about their demise. It just didn't feel right, it didn't feel comfortable to me. So it's really about taking the conversation, not, from death. It's not about their death, it's more about the legacy they want to leave and talking about it from their perspective. What do they want? How do they want to be remembered in the community? Or how do they want to be remembered by their children or their grandchildren? It's about what matters most to them and ensuring that their values live on. And it's also, I want to say, it's not a separate conversation necessarily. I mean, it could be. I want to talk to you about a new legacy society that we're starting. Could we have coffee? It could be all about that, but I always found it much easier to insert it as just another topic in a conversation with a donor. So you might be talking with them about a capital campaign, Amanda. You might be talking, not to put you on the spot, but you're talking about a capital campaign or even a mini campaign or a project you're trying to get funded. There is nothing wrong with saying, I also want to plant a seed with you about leaving this organization in your will or your estate plan. I don't need an answer today. I just want you to think about it because I know you care so much about this mission and you have for so many years. And I want your values to live on forever. I want you to be remembered. So would you just do me a favor and just keep that in the back of your mind when you're thinking about your estate planning? And of course they're gonna say, of course I'll remember. Of course I'll think about that. You're not asking them to write a check, right? So it actually becomes a very easy ask. And I don't think I answered this, but it's not gonna hurt your bottom line. I was often worried that, okay, I'm asking them for a major capital campaign gift, or I want a pretty large gift for this project, and I'm like, I can't ask them for more. I can't possibly ask them for two things. I'm asking them for so much already, and it's not cash, and it's not now. It's deferred. So it's okay to ask for more than one thing. I have learned that you can ask for 3 things, actually. And a lot of people are doing that. I've noticed this happening more and more. So, and it's okay. So how to start a program. And don't get caught up on the word program. It's not that formal. It just means you're doing something. And write down what you're doing. That's really all a program is. So start by building a case for support. Why would somebody want to do this? So it's going to be sustaining your program forever and ever and ever. They don't want to see their investment go away someday because there was no money in the coffers. So that's part of your case. Sustainability. Explain how the planned gift is going to sustain it long term. So in other words, your gift will be used to make sure that the XYZ program continues forever. Or your gift will go to unrestricted use. You always want to be unrestricted when you can get it. So paint that picture of what it could be, and then also mention that, sorry, I didn't write this myself. Well, what it will do, and make sure it has emotional appeal. That's super important. Everybody makes a gift based on their head and their heart. It's not one or the other, it's both. That's when the major gifts come, that's when the planned gift comes. Identifying prospects, this is not hard. If you can run reports, hopefully you've all got a database with your donors in it. If you can run reports every which way, you will start to see patterns. And like Cindy said, it's not always the major gifts, but it often is the major gifts. But when I was at Ellen's place, there were several people that were making, $100 gifts once a year, twice a year, not big, but it was consistent. It was consistent over time. And when you see that in somebody who's especially older, that's a trigger. They are a perfect prospect for a planned gift. So, there are always those stragglers, those anomalies, but your time is valuable, use it wisely, pick the ones that are the low-hanging fruit to meet with. They are most likely ones, as she said, that don't have kids, or those that have older adult children. They're set. They don't need anything from mom anymore. They really, or those people that will come to my office and say, I don't want to ruin my children. I don't want to give them too much, don't want to leave too much, and this happens quite frequently. Assets build over time. Don't forget about those prospects that are board members and past board members. I will say, to this day, I have a harder time asking a current board member for a lot of money in a planned gift. The second they're off my board, hey, I want you to continue to be involved with us. Can we have coffee? And that's a perfect time because the power dynamic is gone. And it's not like they're gonna do anything to you anyway, but it's still awkward. It just always still, to me, feels awkward. But go to those board members who still, they've been wonderful for you for, 3-6 years, hopefully not more than 6 years. But those are prime people, and you wanna keep them giving their annual gift, and you wanna keep them in that list of prospects for a planned gift. Creating a legacy society, again, this is not complex. All it means is you're gonna have a recognition society, essentially. When you know that they have put you in their will or estate plan, then you know that they could be a member of the legacy society. Some people don't wanna be. Some people don't wanna be recognized at all. That's okay, we respect that. But I often talk them into it. I often will say, I'd love to recognize you because you deserve it, but I also want to recognize you because I know you will be influential to your peers in this community. And when they see your name on something, they might give more consideration to it. So a legacy society, in whatever form, is a recognition society. It's also the kind of thing where you can have a special dinner for them once a year. I think it's probably easier to have a coffee or a lunch, maybe every other year, because your plate is full. It's another event, right? But it's a small group of people. We do it here at the foundation as well. Keep those people close. As Cindy said, they can change their minds at any time. So once they have made that request, invite them to be part of that. And always, always add them to your donor list. Code them so that they are getting your mailings, they are getting your invitations to your regular events. If you open up your programming once a year to your donors, make sure you're including them. Keep them close. Marketing tools, obviously you're gonna promote your legacy society on your website. If you want, do a special brochure, legacy brochure, and you want to come up with a cute name, maybe not too cute, but something that really reflects who you are as an organization, and your values. And also tell donor stories, as Cindy was saying. Those stories are everything. Those are the things that really touch their heart and say, I want to be like that guy. I want to be remembered the way they are going to be remembered. And don't forget stewardship. We just talked through that. It is very, very important to keep in touch with them. Annual updates, personal notes. People still love it. I don't know about you, but I still love it when somebody sends me a personal, old-fashioned, handwritten note. So, especially your older donors. Connecting the gift strategies. There are many ways to give, right? It is that pyramid you saw earlier, the annual appeal is at the bottom, right? And the annual gift. The major gift, the planned gift is at the top. But using cross-promotion is really essential. So include planned giving checkboxes or language in annual appeal reply cards. This is such a simple thing to do. So you've got a reply card. This is how much I want to give today. I want to make this a recurring gift every year. Or here's a line for my in memory of. You know the card I'm talking about. That reply with their annual gift. At the bottom, make sure there is a checkbox that says, I am interested in exploring what I could do in my estate plan for the organization. Or I'm interested in learning what your legacy society is all about. Anything, any trigger that might just very casually and in a non-threatening way, like you don't want to think, oh, I'm going to check this box and then I'm signed up. Make sure the language is very broad and very comfortable. Another theme is really in all of your marketing materials to make sure people understand that this is forever. This is a forever gift. It's something that you will use and put away. Hopefully you will use your bequest in such a way, like an endowment, that is going to give now, but it's going to yield dividends forever for your programming and the sustainability. So we say right on our wall, I should have mentioned, we have this Legacy Society wall. There used to be like big cash gifts on it, and we took all this stuff because it's never ending, right? But these are special people, and we use our old tagline for good forever because these are all endowed funds, and they will live forever.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
What if your tree doesn't have so many leaves and you still want to recognize them in a public way, and like you don't want it to look like we only have so many little list of people, but you still want it to be, you want to lift that up. Like how do you start that promotion if you only have like a very small list?
Yeah. I say your type is bigger. You're not going to have a big, beautiful thing like this. And I don't even recommend a big, beautiful thing if you are a small organization. If you've got dollars and you can put them in, and you've got an entryway and it's something cool that people can see and it's representative of your mission, sure, spend the money. But that is not going to entice probably anybody to make a planned gift. But what I would do if I were you is have some prominent place in your lobby or wherever you think is going to be seen. Some really cool artistic plaque, not the brass and wood, no brass and wood, but some kind of plaque where you can easily add names. And what's going to happen is, okay, you've got a plaque with only 3 names on it. Boy, aren't they special. How could it be bad to have a few names?
Okay.
I want to be number 4. I wouldn't be shy on that. I would put it front and center.
I was thinking of like like imprinted pieces that we might send out. If, you know, I'm always back and forth on printing donor names and things, because there's room for error, and what if you don't have a long list yet, or there's a lot of logistics to that. So when it's legacy and you only have like less than a handful, then do you really want it, like, does that encourage or discourage in like a printed piece where you're inviting others to do the same?
I think it screams exclusivity, and I'm special. You know, I've done something that not everybody can do. I would also, you know, have in your language when you're explaining what it is, you know, our Legacy Society is pretty young. We only started it a couple of years ago or whatever. You know, we invite you to be among the first. I mean, flip it to your advantage. It's all how you kind of frame it. I would worry less though about the extravagant, you know, thing. You're in the perfect position to do something really creative and artistic.
I have another question. When you make the ask for like this type of situation, are they like primarily in person, like most of the time? Have you ever had any instances where they weren't in person?
Where you get the planned gift, or are you talking about it?
Talking about
it. No, I typically would not talk about a major gift or a planned gift unless you were face to face. Yeah. Any big ask should be face to face. I can't think of one exception. Can you, Cindy?
No.
Yes.
Just to be sure I'm thinking of this correctly, when someone commits to the legacy gift, that's when their name goes on whatever the recognition is. We don't wait until they die. True?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. They have made a planned gift. Correct.
Okay.
Here's another offshoot of that question that I wrestled with. When they die, do they come off? Well, you'd be surprised how many organizations take the name off. And I think, why in heaven's name would you do that? So, used to be, lists would have a little cross next to them. Well, that was changed to an asterisk. And then an explanation that this person has passed away and left a legacy. You know, that kind of thing. Any other questions? Okay, so I think this might be the last thing. This is, okay, how can a partnership with a community foundation help you? In many ways. And let me start first by saying there's a bequest, and this is just a donor that says, I want to leave the Arts Council in my estate plan with 10% of my residual assets, something like that. And we've got wording too for you. That's the bequest side. Then there's an endowment side, okay? You don't have to tell people about an endowment. If you don't have an endowment, if you don't want an endowment, you're gonna be just talking about give us money. You know, leave us in your will or estate plan. You're going after the final check, right? You're gonna be left in their will and you say yes, and you're gonna get the check. And you can do whatever you want with it, most likely, unless it comes with some strings to it. And then it's restricted. You have to follow what they say it's for. But we have found that you will get a much bigger gift if they know that that bequest is going to go into endowment. Anybody tell me why? Yes.
It's gonna last longer because it's taking the dividends from what goes in to pay for things on and on and on.
Right, yes.
It's also showing that you're thinking in long-term planning and sustainability, and so they're investing in their own investment to carry on.
Very good. You didn't even need to be here. I do need to be here. No, it's exactly, what you're both saying is absolutely true. If I am gonna, and I have left a charity in my estate plan, so I would not leave it to that charity if it was a one-time gift. Or it would be just a dollar amount, it wouldn't be a percent of my estate. So I might leave it as $10,000, but you want a percent of your estate. That's the price, because most people think they're gonna die with nothing or very little. Most people die with a lot more than what they think they're going to die with. So, because we all get scared. I don't know if I'm gonna have enough money. I might be in a home. My kids might be on opposite sides of the world and I have to, take care of myself. And so there's a lot of fear and aging, and it's well founded. But the chance is when it's written in such a way that it's 10% of my residual estate after I took care of my kids and my niece and my whatevers, whatever is left over is gonna go to my favorite charity or charities. The beauty of endowment and telling them it's endowed is their legacy lives forever. And because with an endowment, it never, ever ends. We have 200 agency funds-ish. And what those agency funds are, and some of you have them here, they are funds that are different from anything else we have because they only fund, the distributions only fund your organization. So 4% of the fund's value, and there's a calculation for the value, 4% every year is offered to you to take of the earnings, 4% of the earnings. So, and it's unrestricted. You can use that any way you like. When I was at Ellie's place, I started an endowment, a billion. And I felt it was so important because I worried that all of this hard work, blood, sweat, and tears that we all put into the organization, someday you're gonna leave. And I'm so worried that, it wouldn't be sustained. And so I wanted to build up an endowment that would last and feed, an organization that meant the world to me, forever. So I feel like that was kind of my personal legacy to Ellie's Place, because it is living on. What is it at now? I don't have my notes. It's not here. How much is in it? Like, I don't know, 200,000, something crazy.
Oh, way more than that.
Way more than that? I don't know. It's a lot. But I love the fact that they can have a distribution every year because of it. And it doesn't matter who's in charge of the organization or who the board is, because you will get a board that sometimes goes, how do we get this money out? Well, the whole reason why the donor wanted it endowed, wanted to give to it, was because it was protected forever. That's the whole reason why it's endowed and protected. So we can help you set it up. It's super simple. It's a matter of talking to your board about it. You got a page on it. Yes, I do. You've got this. Take it with you. Benefits of an agency endowment fund. We will talk to your board and go through this with them and answer their questions. Most boards who aren't familiar with endowment have a lot of great questions. They have a lot of concerns about putting something away that they can never touch, and that's valid. And by the way, we don't think that every single penny that you put in should go to endowment. So in other words, every year at Ellie's Place, at the end of the year, I would look at, do we have a surplus? And if it was a good sized surplus, I would put some into reserve, all with the board's okay. Some I would advocate for a reserve fund, and some, the majority, into an endowment, into the one that we have held here. So it's not that we think every single penny of extra money you ever get should be put into the endowment. It's just, you gotta have that reserve fund first. But the other advantage is you're building a shell here. You started something, and when those donors say to us sometimes, does ABC organization have, I love them, do they have an endowment with you? And if you don't have an endowment with us, chances are they're not gonna leave as much money to you. They might leave you in their will or estate plan, but it's gonna be that $10,000 or that $5,000 or whatever it is, not that percentage. So we can create that for you very easily. We can help, educate your board on it. We can help you promote it too. A lot of things that we can do. We've got a template for a flyer that's super simple that can be customized for you. We promote you on our website. We promote you in our impact report. I wanna just
Page 27.
Page 27, thank you. In your report, we'll show you all the agency funds that we have here at the Community Foundation. And I would say we add to that every year a few more agencies in the community. So this is another thing to show your board. 200 agencies or whatever number we're at now can't be wrong. This is something that they have recognized is important for their sustainability, important to have so that they do get those big plan gifts. And also, I think lends credibility that you are partnering with the Community Foundation. We have a very good reputation in the community and among professional advisors who are working with their clients on their estate plans. And oftentimes, they will send them to us. So good to have your name on it, even if it's a small fund. What happens with those endowments is a good question.
Oh, that's okay, go ahead.
No, it's a good break.
One of the questions that our board brought up when we talked about this is the risk of the markets. Like, is this an endowment fund, like, not go with the flow of a loss? Like, how is it protected in that it's not in that risk category?
Okay, that's a great question, and it comes up all the time. Remember when I said it's based on, the value is based on a calculation? So we take 12 quarters, 12 rolling quarters. I would say 3 years, except it keeps shifting to the right.
Okay.
Over time, every quarter keeps shifting to the right. So we take a 12-quarter rolling average of the fund, which levels out those market fluctuations and gives you a figure that is more likely accurate to the value of your fund. Then every year we calculate it and take 4%, and that's the distribution that's available to you. Great question. Now, it doesn't mean that there's no risk. There's always risk, but we're the ultimate long-term investor.
Right.
We're never retiring. So that's not me. So our strategy is different than somebody that needs to retire, and less risk adverse. It doesn't mean it's not risky. In 2009, like everybody else, the market went like this. But it rebounds.
What happens if an organization closes? What happens to their endowment?
It's a great question too. We have something called variance power that is required by the US Treasury. And what they basically have us put into our fund agreements is that we have the responsibility in our sole discretion, that if we can no longer make those distributions, usually because an organization goes away, then we have to find the closest mission possible for those dollars. It still stays endowed. It doesn't get cashed out. It still stays as an endowment. But our whole goal is to meet donor intent. And if that donor intent was to feed the hungry, and this organization goes, we have to find another similar organization, which isn't too hard in cases like that. And yours might be a little harder.
Right.
But
what might happen, hopefully not, I'm not saying projecting on you anything,
No.
but if there's another organization that maybe takes a piece of your mission and has a program that's under a bigger organization. This is exactly what happened to Child and Family Charities. So they kind of kept getting more organizations under them.
Yes.
It comes with the territory. So, yeah, so it stays in doubt. Yes,
Is there a minimum amount you have to open an endowment?
yes, $10,000. Yep. And if you have a really perfect donor, sometimes they will start one for you. If you've got just the right person, and we can coach you on that. Yes.
I'm aware of, and I'm sure there's many, I'm aware of a nonprofit organization in this community where the operation has ceased, but the nonprofit has not ended itself. In that case, if that organization were the recipient of a donor's endowment funds, would like the last person standing keep getting those checks? Because they were the last person hanging out with the nonprofit?
I'm not sure I understand the question, let me see if I do. So there's an organization that's no longer running programs, they're dormant.
Right.
Okay. They can only stay dormant so long legally. This is what I'm told.
Okay.
You'd have to get a ruling from the AG, I think, but, so it can't sit there forever, and nor does the US Treasury want endowments not to be used.
Mhm.
They want the money to be used out in the community according to donor intent.
Mhm.
That's supposedly their number one thing. So it can't last, and it can't go to the last standing guy. I'm not sure what that last standing guy would be.
The last person whose name is on the line saying I'm a board member.
But they're not an organization just because they're a board member.
Okay, maybe more of a legal question then.
I think the bigger question is, are they an organization? At what point do they cease being an organization?
Mhm.
Because we're not making the distribution to any one person. We have to see that you are operational. We do our due diligence
Okay.
and know what the status is of that organization. Y'all have a rap sheet. I'm kidding. So does that make sense? So just because an organization says they're an organization, because they have one or two board members, doesn't mean that they're still a bona fide organization. And
Doing the mission.
we would not be giving them a distribution just
Okay.
because of that.
And so in that case, that's when the variance power kicks in and you look for a similar entity
Right.
doing whatever that other organization's mission had been.
Correct.
Thank you.
Yes, perfectly said. And oftentimes we'll ask the outgoing board members, who do you think, I mean, you know best, you know the landscape of, you know, what your field is. So sometimes it's really easy for us because we talk to the outgoing board members and we say, okay, who should we be looking to? And they've already figured it out. Sometimes it's not. One time there was a church that went belly up and there was no similar denomination. So they wanted their endowment to go to feed the hungry and serve the poor, which was perfectly aligned, and they got to name it, keep the name of their church. So there was this really great, wonderful sense of their legacy to the community. So, you know, there's always a way we can get creative and make sure that we're using an endowment for its intended purpose.
Great.
Any questions? Did I cover everything or did I skip over things?
I have one question. How do you convince people to give to an endowment? Not even maybe convince people, but maybe convince staff that this is important or other people it's important when you have like needs today. And that $10,000 that could set up an endowment, but you actually need that today.
Right.
I can see how you would maybe focus on a donor, you understand that.
Yeah.
But, you know, when you're like looking for every dollar to come in,
Right.
and you say, and now we're gonna put this money aside
Right,
and use a
right.
percentage of it.
Great question, been there, done that. It's really hard. And you shouldn't, honestly, you shouldn't. As much as I love endowment, if you are struggling to keep the lights on, you're not ready for endowment, really. But it's something you should be thinking about now. It's something you should be planting seeds with people about. And when you're prospecting, you might very well have the perfect person when you're ready to say, you know what, I'm worried about the sustainability of this organization. Can we talk about what an endowment fund might do? Would you be interested in helping me start one? $10,000 seems like a lot, but there are donors, you know, there are people that will surprise you. I was surprised when I got here and I looked at my donors that I left at Ellie's place and I go, dang, they had a lot more money than I thought. I should have been asking them for more money. I'm not kidding. So it's surprising. It's surprising what they can do. And remember, this is planned giving. So even if you don't have a fund now, but somebody says they want this to start an endowment fund, we've got a few of those. They're called testamentary funds, legacy funds, and they will say, I'm leaving you in my estate plan for 10%, and I want it to go to land to build their first endowment. If they don't have one yet, when I meet my demise. So it's done, it's done. So their way, and remember, it's never a single ask. I shouldn't say never. It's so much easier when you're talking to a donor about something else. You're talking to them about this new project. You're talking to them about setting up a reserve fund. And by the way, our dream is to have an endowment too. And I hope you'll remember us in your estate plan. I mean, there are so many ways you can just fold it right into the conversation. And I love dreaming with the donor. Remember, they love you. You are not on one side of the wall and they're on the other. You're on the same side. So you're just having a conversation with a friend, really.
How does that conversation look different when you are asking a company to do an endowment fund to your nonprofit?
We've got one of them. It was their idea. I don't know what that conversation looks like other than sitting down with them and saying, hey, I noticed that you're always supporting ABC organization and they don't have an endowment fund. Would you think about starting one for them? I know that you're investing in them at the tune of $10,000 a year. You might want to invest in their sustainability. Something like that comes to mind. I have never done it, but that would be where I would go. Maybe we need to do that. There's also slides and resources. Oh, yes. Here's some resources for you. Apparently this guy knows what he's doing. I don't know. But Cindy.
Books, videos, and slides that Cindy will best for you. I've used them that like
So we want you to be successful with planned giving. Don't overthink it. Don't get too caught up in the charitable annuities and all that stuff, which is rarely done anymore anyway. So just think about what's simple. It's just a conversation with a friend.
How appropriate is it to talk to financial planners about your organization so that when they're talking to their customers, you know, your organization might be top of mind, you know, if it's maybe somebody who's not normally very charitable but is looking to use like the tax benefits of whatever vehicle they're looking to do, how appropriate is that?
I beat my head against the wall for years trying to build relationships with professional advisors, and I'll tell you what happened. Found out that they don't like to recommend one charity or even 2 or 3 charities. They feel like that's not their place, and they feel like they just put themselves on the hook. And if it gets out, then they've got 5 other organizations saying, how come you don't recommend us? So they approach it from the angle of through the lens of the donor, what do you like? What do you like to fund? In fact, we give them a brochure to start the conversation. Mainly we want them to just call us because we know the nonprofit landscape. But they will not, even if you built a relationship with them, it will be very unlikely, I won't say never, it will be unlikely that they're gonna refer you. Now, the big caveat to all this is if they're a financial planner of some kind, they're a estate planning attorney or, investment, what is it called now, they've got an acronym. Financial planner.
Yeah.
Investment advisor.
Yeah.
Let's say you know somebody and they give to you now. They're a believer. They're all in.
Yeah.
Hopefully they're on your board. Let's pretend they are.
Yeah.
You need to have a conversation with them about how do I help you make referrals to this organization?
Okay.
How would you feel more comfortable?
So start with pre-existing relationships and maybe build from there.
Build from there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And they might recommend, especially if they have a client that thinks like them.
Yeah. Thank you.
Sure. Any last question? Okay. Well, thanks for coming. Thanks for your interest and always reach out to Cindy if you want to start a fund or have us come and talk to your board. And of course, talk to the community investment team if you have questions about anything else. Thank you.
Thanks, Lori. Thanks, Cindy.
Thank you.
So see, not quite as scary as maybe it sounded beforehand, right? So I think the thing, right, a lot of reoccurring themes and what we've been talking about over the last couple of sessions as well. Really, this whole fundraising thing is about relationships, right? So I would say there were 2 things that I heard that made me go, yep. So the first one is at the very first session, what did we talk about? How everybody needs a CRM, a really, really good database. Great that you all have them. Learn how to use every square inch of them because they will likely produce things for you that you can't even imagine, right? So if you're not running reports, if you're not really understanding how to use the data that's in there, learn it, right? Because it is all about identifying who's your best prospect for any one of these vehicles that we're talking about. And then the second thing is get to know these folks, right? So maybe they are only going to be that $100 a year donor for a while. Maybe they will eventually work their way up to someone you want to have a major gift conversation with. And maybe as part of that conversation, you introduce this idea of plant giving, right? I can't stress enough, we're going to talk about it a little bit after the break, this idea of stewardship. Because if somebody says, yeah, I really like what you do, I'm going to write you a $100 check, I'm going to say 99.9% of the time, they are not coming back to you in 6 months and going, I changed my mind, I want that check back, right? It's not going to happen. But if you're not appropriately stewarding those planned gifts, they are revocable. They can change their mind. I've done it. Not here. So I did my estate plan, by the way, well before I was 55. So that is your target market, but don't close the door to other ages. I had been on the board of a nonprofit organization. I cared very deeply about them, and over time they merged with a statewide organization and really narrowed the scope of what they were doing in the community I was living in. And that didn't work for me anymore, right? So things change. Lots of things change. Or maybe you just do something they're not that crazy about, right? So you think about always having a relationship so you can have that conversation, right? We're going to do this, or we did that, and here's why it's still important that you are supporting our organization. So please don't forget about your planned giving, folks. So here's the plan for the rest of the night. We're gonna take like a 15-minute break. Looks like Lori and Cindy are hanging around for a second, so if anybody has any questions or wants to pick their brains for a little bit. And then we're gonna come back and we're gonna wrap this thing up. I heard from several of you that you have events, donor dinners, all kinds of things going on tonight. So we're gonna close up shop around 5:30. It'll all depend on how much reflecting you wanna do with me. So let's take a 15-minute break and then we'll reconvene.